Joining me now to discuss is Republican Congressman Will Hurd of Texas. He's a former CIA officer. He currently serves on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, good to see you. As always, there's no dispute here among reasonable people. Soleimani was a horrible person. He had the blood of innocents on his hands. But doesn't it matter what the government gives as a justification for such a strike?
I would agree with that, and using precise language is important. I don't know if deterrence and immediacy are that far away from a reason for doing a strike, but I think it's important to use precise language, especially when it comes to really important and sensitive intelligence, for two reasons. One, if this intelligence source is ongoing and it's so good that if the bad guys find out what that information was, they might be able to understand that source, and as we say in the intelligence business, that source gets burned. And so using precise language to protect your sources is ultimately important, and I believe a lot of folks would love to see this intelligence, know what was in this intelligence, but I would agree with our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley, when he said that that intelligence was clear in what was going to happen and the potential loss of life, and I would concur with that initiative. But I think we can say that what happened to Qasem Soleimani, who as the head of the largest terrorist organization, most well-financed terrorist organization in the world, that is deterrence. And we know that the Army War College did a report on activities in Iraq since, I believe it was after 2008 to about 2018, that when there was consequences to Iranian behavior, they stopped doing negative behavior. So I think all these things can exist at one time.
Sure. I mean, the reason I asked is because President Trump tweeted that it doesn't matter whether the attacks were imminent. And Congressman Justin Amash, former Republican, now independent, one of your colleagues, he wrote on Twitter, quote, "Contrary to President Trump's claim, it does matter whether there's an imminent threat. It matters under our Constitution. A president can't order any strikes except pursuant to a congressional authorization unless the strikes are emergency defensive responses to an imminent attack." Again, Soleimani was a horrible person, but don't you think the administration needs to prove an imminent threat or be subject to congressional authorization?
Well, I think in this case, and where some of the debate on this comes, is whether Qasem Soleimani was just a part of a foreign government, or was he the leader of a terrorist organization. Qasem Soleimani under Obama, and also prior to that under President Bush, he individually had a number of sanctions put on him. The IRGC Quds Force, which he ran, was designated as a foreign terrorist organization, and so was the broader IRGC.
Right.
And so you can't, in my opinion, you cannot hide behind a uniform of your country to prevent you from being determined as a terrorist. And so the attack on Qasem Soleimani, he was in Iraq, which is a hot battle zone. He's an identified belligerent within that war, and there was intelligence to suggest that there was going to potentially be a loss of American life and allies' lives.
All right, Congressman Will Hurd, Republican of Texas, thank you so much for your time, sir. Appreciate it, as always.